Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I still haven't decided if I'm going to post it or not, because it is kind of personal, and I don't really do personal stuff on my channel, like ever. It's mostly like foo-foo she stuff, like bag reviews and talking about all the money I've spent on clothes and purses. So this is a little different for me, but I did want to come and at least talk about it because I know it's something that affects a lot of people, and also it's something that's been pretty hard for me, and I've been going through it since the middle of August. So as you can tell by the title, I'm going to share my personal story of anxiety. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. But I really would like to say to people who have anxiety, whether it's panic disorder, general anxiety, or health anxiety, that you're not alone and you are not insane and you're not crazy. It's actually more common than people think. So some statistics to kind of start. As far as health anxiety, there is a census out there that says people living in the U.S., 1 in 4 people has suffered, will suffer, or currently suffers with some form of anxiety. Those are big numbers, so I mean literally if you look around you, if you're not by yourself, like there's people outside, I can count about 4 people out there, so that means that one of those people is affected by this. Of course the severity depends, but still. So really quickly, a little background info about me. I am not an only child. People are always shocked to hear that. I'm actually the middle, so I have an older sister and an older brother that are stepchildren, but we don't really get into all that. They're my brother and sister. And then I have a younger brother and a baby sister, so I'm my mom's first. I'm also the oldest in my house. My mom calls me her miracle baby because she actually was told by many professionals that she would never have children, so she calls me her miracle baby. She had me when she was 28. So my anxiety runs in my family, we'll just put it that way. There's some people on my mom's side and my dad's side who have suffered with anxiety that are pretty close to me, so it's not something foreign. So my story, I would say... So I have always been a person that's interested in weird things. Like for a while I went through this whole phase of like being obsessed with the Holocaust. So I would like Google it and look it up and called myself an expert. So there's healthy obsessions, and then I believe there's unhealthy ones as well. And then things like the Ebola virus, AIDS, things like that. Like I would like obsessively like look them up because it was just so foreign and different to me. So I would do things like that. The genocide I was also very interested in. So that is all good and well and fine, but add that to somebody who might already have like OCD or anxiety tendencies, and it can kind of be an issue. So I have been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder as well as health anxiety. Generalized is kind of where you worry about everything from the future to walking outside to getting pregnant to your hair not looking right to everything. Now that one I would say for me personally was a little bit easier to deal with because like you would hear about things on the news, which the news and the media definitely help to, you know, get you to that point with anxiety. Like they play a part about like a car accident, and so you go out and you're driving your car and you think, oh my god, I'm going to get in a car accident. The thought comes, but then it goes. It's not something that was debilitating for me that I couldn't drive or like I wouldn't leave my house. Every time the phone rings or my mom calls me at work maybe and I think, oh my god, like somebody's passed away or something's happened, and then it's really never that. 9 times out of 10, it's really never as big as we make it or as big as we think it is, thank God, or whoever you believe in. Now with the health anxiety, the way that it works, and this is information that I've gathered from online, usually people with health anxiety they know somebody who's passed away or who's been really sick, they themselves have been sick, or they just kind of have the fear, but it starts at a younger age, which for me, that's correct. It started at a younger age. And then it kind of like is dormant, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't really come out, but then when you get older, that's usually when you kind of have like these episodes. So long story short, how this all got started. August 10th, through the 21st, I went back home to Nebraska to be with my family after my birthday. I just got my new car. It was amazing. It was lovely. About a couple days, well, okay, so when I first got there and I drove, so I drove 14 hours and I did it straight. I probably stopped for maybe 2 hours in total, like stopping here and there. But when I got there, I slept fine the first night, and then I noticed that I would just be really tired, like not just tired, but exhausted to the point where like I would have to lay down because I physically felt heavy, and I would like go to sleep, and it wasn't good sleep. It was kind of like adamant sleep. So that was the first thing. Keep in mind, I'm a hypochondriac, aka I have health anxiety, plus I'm like anxiety already, and I'm a worrisome person. And then that Sunday, so I think I got there Thursday, so that Sunday, my dad had made omelets, and then he did a fish fry, and I kind of noticed that I didn't really have an appetite, and that's weird for me because I love to eat. So, and it wasn't just that I didn't have an appetite, but the food didn't taste good to me. So that was thing number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, rewind. Before all this happened, so I think a couple days into my trip, I had this extremely vivid and real dream. Basically, I had a dream that I was dying. I was standing in the yard in my dream, and it was hot outside. My mom had asked me to do something, and my mom and baby brother were outside, and I just had this feeling come over me. It was like nervous energy combined with like fatigue and flu, and I passed out in my dream. And I just remember my mom standing over me and me kind of like, you know, seeing lights and light and dark and in and out, and her saying, I think we're losing her, I think we're losing her, and crying. Scariest dream I've had in my life to date. I woke up very distraught, so that was what kind of set these things in motion. So then I started getting tired, then I started losing my appetite. On the 17th, it all came to a head. I was like bedridden, didn't want to move, I was nauseated, couldn't eat, just felt really sluggish. I think I had like a low-grade fever for one of those days. Just really wasn't feeling good. And then I happened to look at my mouth, and my tongue had turned white, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? And what do? What does any smart thinking American do? They get on Google. So I start Googling, and Google is the devil. To anybody with health anxiety or any type of anxiety, do not Google anything. Any doctor will tell you that. Don't Google it. Because Google, there's a lot of good information on there, yes, but you kind of have to get through all the information. But the first things that pop up, cancer, heart disease, AIDS, leukemia, that's what you find. So of course that like dropped my stomach, and I was like, are you kidding me? So I can't tell you for sure when I actually stopped being sick and the anxiety and worry took over, because I would pace back and forth. Like I literally convinced myself that I was dying. I thought I was gonna die. I thought, you know, I had some horrible medical illness and that something was wrong with me. So then it came time for me to leave. And keep in mind, still have no appetite. This probably lasted me literally until the 28th of August. So from the 17th through the 28th, 10 days, no appetite. It was so discouraging. I would try to eat, and it literally didn't taste like anything to me. I would just not eat. So today is October 10th. So from that day, we'll just call it August 17th through October 10th, I lost 6 pounds, which is not a lot, but it kind of is. I was under extreme stress. So, okay, fast forward, I get back to Houston, still not eating, you know, still feeling horrible. So then I noticed some other alarming symptoms. One day I was sitting in the nail shop, and I noticed that I was getting this like cold feeling in my toes and my hands, and I thought it was maybe just from sitting my fingers in front of the fan. Well, that continued on, and it turned into like tingling and numbness in my fingers and toes. Now, it wasn't painful to the point, but it was annoying, and you could feel it. And I would notice that it would kind of heighten after I had been Googling or after I had been worrying. I didn't speak about this to my parents because I was scared that they would think I was crazy or that something really was wrong with me. My plan was not to go to the doctor. I wasn't going to do anything that. I was just going to wait till I died. So from that point, we'll call it August 28th through September 9th. September 8th or 9th, I'm feeling like this. So I've accumulated all this nervous energy to the point where I can't even sit still. When I'm sitting, I'm going like this. My stomach, I've thrown off my stomach by not eating so much that when I finally do get hungry enough and I try to eat, my stomach lurches. So I messed up my digestive system. All this from stress. I got a tight feeling in my chest. And I would always feel like my heart was racing. So then I thought I had diabetes, where I was hyperglycemic, because I would feel like my heart would race. In the morning, it was the worst. I would wake up in the morning and just feel nauseated to the point where I couldn't eat until like 4 or 5. One time I actually had to leave work because I was freaking out so bad, and the physical symptoms were very real. So mine was heart palpitations. My heart would race. It would pound. My fingers and toes would go numb. I was not sleeping. I was having trouble eating, trouble focusing. I couldn't recall what I did yesterday or the day before. Very irritable, and scared very easy. It was very easy for me to startle. So finally, September 9th rolls around and I decide to go see a doctor. I get a blood test, full blood test, everything comes back normal. I feel great. You know, I walk out of there feeling like, wow, oh my gosh, and I go home and go to sleep. And then I started Googling again. And of course, what do you find? You know, blood test mistakes, lab result mistakes, false negatives, false positives, switching tubes of blood. And before you know it, I'm right back there. So then it got worse. It got worse. Now, by this time, you know, I'm eating in and out, and that's okay, but the tingling is come back with a vengeance. Can't remember anything. I spent literally most of my time on Google. I would go off the floor from work and sit in the bathroom Googling things. I would do it from my first class to my afternoon class, so there was days that I would like binge Google and be on there for like 4 hours looking up horrible things of everything from people living with AIDS to cancer patients to how I found out I got cancer to I'm feeding into it. And it's like the whole time I feel like I'm watching myself and everything in me just wants to shake me and say, stop it, like snap out of it. You're going to drive yourself insane, but there's nothing you can do about it. So after September 7th or whatever day that was, I think it was the 9th, when I convinced myself that the blood tests were wrong, I found a real doctor because I went to the clinic at school. So I went to a real doctor, made the appointment. That was last Monday, which would have been September, I think it was October 5th, actually. I think it was October 5th, or maybe it was September 28th. I don't remember. No, it was September 28th. I'm sorry. So I told her what was going on, and she basically told me to my face, you know, you have anxiety. You're going to make yourself go crazy, but I'm going to run a full blood test on you so that when I tell you this time, you'll believe me. So I said, fine. It takes 2 weeks to get blood work back, so that whole time, I'm on high anxiety. Every time the phone rings, I think it's her. I think it's the doctor telling me I have some horrible disease, confirming that, yes, you are dying. As crazy and cuckoo as all this sounds, it's very real to the person going through it. So that's one point that I want to make. A second point, when I would tell people that I had anxiety, their first reaction to me, they would look at me and say, anxiety? What do you have to be worried about? Or what do you have to have anxiety over? I cannot tell you how disheartening, discouraging, upsetting, frustrating it was for me to hear that, because basically it's a slap in the face. You are completely devaluing my feelings. You're basically saying, you know, nothing in your life could possibly be wrong because I follow you on Instagram and you have a perfect life. So what do you have to be worried about? And, you know, maybe that's my fault because people don't really get to know me, and my close family and friends understand. Other people, no. That's exactly what their response is. So FYI, to anybody who knows somebody going through anxiety, that is the worst thing you can say to them. So please refrain from saying it, and just try to be as understanding as you could. Now this video is running long, so I got the blood work done, so I'm waiting. It's giving me anxiety. So fast forward to Thursday night, October 8th, I had a massive panic attack. So I got home from work, I had a couple sips of Moscato trying to relax. And then all of a sudden, I laid down and I was kind of feeling out of it, kind of woozy, and kind of like I felt when I was at home when I was getting sick. And I had this thought in my head. It was kind of like a thought / dream of not being able to take in enough air, getting half a breath, and so kind of like slowly suffocating. And I sat up and I realized that it wasn't a dream, that in fact that's really what I was feeling like. And that started freaking me out. And then I got really, really nauseated. And let me try to explain this to you. So the feeling, how I felt, every time I would take a breath, I was feeling like only half of it was getting down. So the other part was not going to my brain. So in my mind, the conclusion I made was that if you're only getting half of your breath, you're suffocating, you're dying, something is wrong with you, you're having a heart attack or some type of physical attack. If you keep doing this, the air is not going to get to your brain, which in turn is going to make you lose function. So I literally thought I was dying. Now, knowing what I know now, I know that I had a massive panic attack, but when it's on you, it felt like nothing I've ever experienced and nothing I ever want to experience again. I literally felt like I was having a heart attack. My heart was racing. My skin, I started sweating. My legs were pulsating. Like, that's how much nervous energy I had inside of me. This was my nervous energy coming to a peak. That's really how I feel about it. So I ended up having a friend drive me to the ER. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying. A panic attack normally lasts 15 to 20 minutes max. Mine lasted almost 3 hours. So when I got to the hospital, I'm pretty sure they thought I was on drugs. I was acting real crazy. But they were like, you know, have you ever had an anxiety attack before? Have you ever had anxiety before? And I was like, well, yes, I have anxiety, but this is not this. Like, I know what anxiety is. This is not it. My fingers and toes started to go completely numb. My mouth and face went numb. I couldn't feel anything. The breakthrough moment for me was they had me hooked up to the EKG. They took 3 tubes of blood from me, and then they were monitoring my heart rate and my breathing and all that good stuff. And the man, I kept telling him, I said, you know, you got to find somebody. Like, I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm like, you have to find somebody. I cannot breathe. I'm going to suffocate. Little did I know, FYI, if you can't breathe, you wouldn't be talking. Blonde moment. But, so, yeah. So I'm telling him this, and the nurse looks at me. It's a young guy, and he says, you know, you're fine. Like, he said to me, these were his exact words. Your mind is playing a trick on you. You can breathe. Everything is fine. We're monitoring your heart rate. Your heart rate is fine. Your breathing is fine. Your body is getting enough oxygen. You are okay. Every time he would look me in my face and say that to me, I was able to take a breath. And I started thinking, like, is he right? Am I tripping? But then, here comes my health anxiety. This man's lying to you. He is lying to you. He knows something is wrong. They don't have enough doctors. It's only one doctor in this ER. So you're going to die. You're going to die. I kept saying, you know, I'm going to faint. I'm going to pass out. I kept feeling like that. Those are my feelings. That's what I was saying. And every time I would have a negative thought about them having to pump my stomach or give me a catheter or me dying or them finding something in my blood work, it would get worse. It would get worse. But every time he would let me know, you know, you're hooked up to these machines, we're monitoring you, you're okay, I would kind of calm down. So it got to a point where it was me and my thoughts, and I was fighting those thoughts down. I said, you know what, you've got to get this together. You are okay. You can breathe. Just take a deep breath. And ultimately, that's what ended up calming me down. So then, once I realized that I was not going to faint, that I was actually just exhausted, I allowed myself to kind of doze off. But every time a door would open, I would jump. Every time I would hear a noise, I would jump. And it's literally like all the feelings I had been feeling for the past couple months came to a head. The numbness was at its worst. The jumpiness was at its worst. The nauseating was at its worst. Everything was at its worst in that moment. So I finally come down. By this time, 3 or 4 hours have passed. The doctor finally gets in to see me. They wouldn't let me drink or eat anything. So he gives me 2 liters of saline because I was dehydrated and I had depleted my potassium level. So they gave me these huge potassium pills to take. But the doctor said to me, you know, you're fine. Your blood work is fine. Your urine is fine. Nothing's wrong with you. Your potassium levels are low and you're dehydrated, but you had a severe anxiety attack. And I think it took him saying that because when you're in that moment and you're feeling all these things physically, it seems impossible to you that you could possibly be feeling this much pain and this much physicalities and nothing be wrong. So that kind of plays into it as well. Add to that your health anxiety, and you are in a full-blown panic attack, which was what I was in. So I went to the hospital. It was probably 9 or 10 at night. Didn't get discharged till 8 o'clock the next morning. But honestly, by the time I was let out, it was like I could breathe again. I felt a huge stress off my shoulders. So honestly, I think that the way God works with me, all this had to come to a head. This nervous energy has to go somewhere. We know that's one of, what is it, Newton's laws of physics or something? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only transferred. I think that's what it says. Yeah, that energy has to go somewhere. When I tell you there was literally mornings when I would feel like this is how I felt inside. 24/7. Sometimes worse or better than others, but 24/7. I would wake up in the morning. I wouldn't roll over. I would wake up like somebody scared me out of my sleep. It was crazy. It was crazy. So now really quick, this is getting really long. I don't know how much of it's going to let me put on there, but I just wanted to read some stuff from this website I found that was really helpful. It's called anxietycoach.com. This is what it looks like, and it's entitled, What Panic Attacks Actually Do to You. So I'm going to read a little bit because it really helps me, and I encourage you to look at this website. In bold, it says, panic is an effective trick. It's very good at convincing you that you are in danger. That's how I felt. Fear of dying. You think you're dying of a heart attack or perhaps lack of air. It feels this way as best you can tell since you haven't died before, but neither one happens. That's what happened. This is what makes a visit to the emergency room with a panic attack such an unsatisfactory experience. It's not a life-threatening emergency, just an imitation of one. Chest pain. I felt like my chest was collapsing, like it physically hurt. The chest pain you experience during an anxiety attack is real, not imagined, but it's pain in your chest muscles, not your heart. Those muscles hurt because you've been breathing in a way which makes them tight and tense. So, with the breathing thing, I want to read something else that I saw. Same website. So I can't catch my breath. Feeling like I can't catch my breath is probably the most common of all panic symptoms. Your breathing feels labored. You strain to take a deep breath. You fear you're not going to get it. And the harder you try, the worse it feels. There was points where I would be taking a deep breath or trying to breathe, and it would go like this, and I would be like, oh my God, like it would take longer to get the breath, and see, feeling it right now, it's making my chest hurt. There's something to that. So, when you feel short of breath, it doesn't mean you're not getting enough air in. In fact, people will often say, I can't catch my breath, and that shows that they're getting air in. FYI, because you can't talk if you can't breathe. Didn't know that. If you're talking, you're breathing. It's not a dangerous symptom, but it does get people very scared, and it produces other uncomfortable physical symptoms. So, the reason why it feels like that, you forgot to exhale. That's right. Before you can take a deep breath, you have to give one away. Why? Because when you've been breathing in a short, shallow manner from your chest, which is what you're doing, if you try to take a deep inhale, you just can't do it, which is what makes you feel like you're choking or dying or you can't breathe. All you can do is take a more labored, shallow breath from your chest. This will give you all the air you need, but it won't feel good. Back to what the doctors were saying when he was like, you know, your heartbeat is not even abnormal. Like, you're getting all the air you need. You just feel like you aren't because this is how you're breathing. It's so shallow. Ooh, that hurts. Okay, another one, it says, you get chest pains or heaviness because you've tightened the muscles of your chest to an uncomfortable degree. The chest pain people feel in a panic attack isn't from the heart, it's from the muscles of your chest. You feel lightheaded, dizzy, because shallow breathing can produce the same sensation as hyperventilating. You also get a more rapid heartbeat and maybe numbness or tingling in the extremities as well, all from shallow breathing. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Okay, back to the website. So, fear of going crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. Fear of fainting. This was me. I kept telling them I'm going to pass out. I'm going to faint. You know, oxygen's not getting to my brain. This is a very common fear among people suffering from panic attacks. People think of fainting as belonging to the same category as heart attacks. True. A terrible physical calamity, but fainting is actually a valuable way that the body protects itself. So basically when you faint, it says it's caused by a sudden significant drop in blood pressure. When blood pressure drops this way, there is a chance the brain won't get enough blood. So that's no good. So your brain needs a steady supply of oxygen. So when your body can't get enough blood to your brain because of low blood pressure, it protects you by bringing your brain down to the blood. So it faints because your head is the highest part in your body. The faint ensures a blood supply to the brain by bringing your head down to the ground. So, but here's a key point. It says, what do you think is happening to your blood pressure during a panic attack? It's going up. Probably not a lot, but it's the opposite of what you need to faint. So it's extremely difficult to faint during a panic attack. Little did I know. Let's see. What else? So at the bottom, it says, what can panic attacks actually do to you? They scare you. You get scared, real scared. They fill you with discomfort and trick you into reacting as if you're in danger. And if you don't get some good information about panic disorder shortly after the first attack, you are likely to start developing ongoing fears of having more attacks. I'm a psychology major. I know everything there is to know about panic attacks, agoraphobia, panic disorder, yet that didn't stop me from having one. So I want to say this to you guys. I know what it's like. I know what it feels like. If you're somebody who suffers from health anxiety or anxiety, then you know what that's like to feel like you're losing your mind, to have people tell you just snap out of it or just stop thinking those thoughts. Well, if I could, don't you think I would have done that by now? So, yeah. I'm not sure how much of this video it's going to let play. I might have to do it in 2 parts, and that's fine. But my main reason for sharing this is because I've been going through it and I kind of isolated myself. I didn't tell my family or friends, like I said, until it was kind of too late. I definitely isolated myself. I didn't want to do videos. I didn't want to shop. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything but put my head in Google and find more about my disease that I diagnosed myself with. So I know what it feels like. You feel hopeless. You feel like you're in danger at all times. Your senses are on 10. Your energy's on 15. You know, it's just always like this. Taking deep breaths did not help me. None of that stuff, meditation, nothing. So, I don't know. Yeah, but I just wanted to share this story with you. Update, I am feeling much better, obviously. I really think that I had so much pent-up nervous energy. It needed an escape, and that panic attack was like the culmination of all that. So yes, you guys, I really hope this helps someone. If not educational purposes, just to feel like you're not alone, because a lot of people do suffer from it. And for my compulsive Googlers out there, that would be something I would say to Google. Personal stories of people with anxiety or health anxiety, personal stories of healing from anxiety, and then also what a panic attack actually is, because our brains make us think it's one thing, and then your body acts and reacts accordingly, because your brain is a strong muscle. And then, you know, whatever you're thinking, you know, if you do it enough and intensely enough, your body will follow suit. So be careful with your thoughts, because they immensely affect you. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to somebody. You guys can definitely email me. My email is dollface_bree@yahoo.com. And let me know if you guys have any questions, or if this helped, or if you want to talk. I'm definitely here for you guys, especially firsthand, because I know how it feels. So yeah, I love you guys, and I hope I helped somebody out.